Welcome to the NLP Talks podcast, bringing you inspirational stories along with a good dose of potentially life-changing NLP strategies. I'm Laura Evans, multi-award-winning NLP trainer, and I'm on a mission to help you unleash your potential in business and life. I'm so glad you're here. Pull up a chair, listen in, and let's get started on revealing more about this transformational NLP toolkit. I hope you're safe and well. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the NLP Talks podcast. And if you've been listening to this series, then you'll know that we've been doing a podcast takeover. It's still me, but I'm talking about business and our Confident Coach Business Academy, really helping you to start to understand what it takes to start and run a successful people helping business. And if you've got this far through the series, first of all, I just want to say well done, because there has been a huge amount of information that I have shared this series all about how to start and scale your business. Because if you're still here and you're still listening, you've done more than most people ever do. You've stopped, you've actually started thinking about how to build your business properly. Now, just to bring us back together for a moment, over the last few episodes, we've covered a lot. We've looked at whether this path is right for you and how to step into it with your eyes open. Why qualifications alone don't build a business, which is a lot of the problem for a lot of people. They think that just getting a qualification is how you start a business doing coaching, and it's really so much more than that. We've talked about how to design your business properly using structure and strategy. We've talked about how to get visible through marketing, personal branding, and defining your niche. The difference between marketing and advertising was the next topic we covered, and how to stop spraying in your marketplace and how to start really getting targeted with attracting the right people. We then talked about why avoiding sales is costing you so much. And I gave you some tips to start having better sales conversations. And then the last episode, we started to look at AI and how that fits in, because you can't ignore this AI revolution, which is happening. But I want you to do it in a way that supports you and helps you to start and grow your business. So we've covered a huge amount, and we have only started to scratch the surface of what it takes to run a successful coaching, therapy, training, or other people helping business. Now, if you haven't yet downloaded the 2 blueprints that go with this podcast series, then please go over to nlptalks.com and grab those free downloads, particularly the download that enables you to work out whether this is the right path for you. It's like a checklist for that. And also the coaching business blueprint, because that's where I start to help you structure this business. Now, in this episode, we're going to shift gears, because we're going to now start to pull all of this together that we've been talking about on this podcast series. And I want you to start to move from stopping learning and starting doing. This is another hurdle that most coaches never get past, because they get stuck in learning mode. And the reality is that confidence starts to grow as you start to act. You'll never feel ready. And if you keep learning and learning and learning, you'll always be learning. And whilst I love learning, there comes a point where you just have to start doing, and then your confidence will start to grow and you'll continue to learn as you do. So in this episode, we're going to pull a load of things together, and I'm going to help you focus on how to get your very first client without feeling awkward, without being pushy, or like you feel like you're really having to sell yourself hard. So let's get going. So I just want to acknowledge something right up front, and that is that getting your first client feels like a big deal. You'll always remember the first person that you help within your business. Suddenly, running this business goes from being an idea, a dream, a thought about how you might help people. And then all of a sudden, it becomes quite real. No longer are you thinking along the lines of, I'm thinking about becoming a coach. Rather, your thinking starts to shift to, I am a coach and I'm inviting people to work with me. And if that shift feels uncomfortable, I just want you to firstly know that you're not on your own, because I know the leap. I did it obviously a long time ago now, but I help people every single week and month to make this shift. And I know what it takes as an entrepreneur to start and scale a business. And if the phrase, I am a coach and I'm inviting people to work with me, if that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, then I'd ask you to sit and reflect on, what is it in your mindset that's holding you back? Now, from the decade or more of helping people just like you to start and scale their business, I'm going to suggest that there's probably going to be a bunch of limiting beliefs that are stopping you. I'm not good enough, or I don't believe in myself, or, will I ever be able to make a success of this? And other similar limiting beliefs. There could be some internal conflicts. Maybe I want to go down this path, but maybe I'm also scared of the risk. There could be memories from the past if you've run businesses in the past and you're thinking, oh wowzers, I hope I don't fail at this like I did my previous business, and so much more. And if you're trained in NLP, you're going to know that there are a whole host of NLP techniques that can help you to shift some of these mindset blocks out of the way. So unlike a lot of other coaches and therapists and trainers that are out there that feel this resistance within themselves, unlike them, if you're trained in NLP, you've got a toolkit to help yourself. And if you've done certified NLP trainings, you're going to go a bunch of other people that are also trained in this type of stuff. So I always say to my coaching clients, my mentoring clients, that, do you know what? Do you know someone that would be able to help you with that? And invariably the answer is yes. So I say to them, get it written down and look up someone that you did your certified course with and ask them if they'd like to get together and do some practice. And maybe you can help them and maybe they can help you. Alternative, of course, you can work one-to-one with me, and if you'd like to do that, then just drop me an email, info@thelauraevans.co.uk, and let's set up a call and explore whether me helping you one-to-one is something that you'd like to do. Because here's the thing, if you've already invested in skills to be able to help other people, I can promise you there are people out there right now who are looking for support and would be delighted to cross paths with you, and you be able to say to them, do you know what, I can help you with that problem, or would you like to take some steps to move beyond that and realize your dreams and so forth. People want help. Remember we said in the sales podcast episode a couple of episodes ago, people don't like to be sold to, but they love to buy, and they're looking for solutions to problems. Anyway, let's not rehash the previous episodes, Laura, because people can go back and listen to those if you haven't already. I want to give you the idea here of a shop metaphor. Now, most of us in the people helping industry don't have physical shops that clients come to, but we have virtual ones. So, that might be you working with clients online as well as in person. And I would say to my coaching clients, I would really encourage you to think long and hard about getting any kind of permanent premises, because that's a fixed cost to your business, right? And so I still to this day, I hire hotel meeting rooms when I need to meet with people face to face, and if I work with people online, I do so using Zoom or another online platform. But we do have a virtual shop, and for most of us, let's call our website our virtual shop. And you don't want to open a shop and then go and hide in the stockroom, right? And you probably know what I mean by that without me even explaining it. But you don't want to open up your lovely website and put it across social media and share it with people and say, here I am, this is now what I'm doing. Set everything up beautifully, display your products and services, and kind of metaphorically let people know that you've turned the lights on, and then go and sit in the stockroom and never be seen again, because that's where a lot of coaches fall short. I've seen so many people do it. They do a launch, they maybe invite their family and friends to a launch, or they splash it all over social media, and they think that a launch is enough to get them their first client. As I said in the sales podcast episode that we've done a couple of episodes ago, sales are about conversations, and you need to go and find your ideal customer when you know who that is and start having conversations. And it's not enough to just get a qualification or a certification. We covered this quite a few episodes ago now. That's not the deal. You've got to develop your skill in helping people as well as helping you to develop your business skills. And that's why I created Inside Track, to help people to build their business knowledge and expertise. And hence the Confident Coach Business Academy was born. So we really need to start to think about how we can consistently show up, how we can consistently remain visible, and how we can give our best chance to finding our ideal customer and to have conversations with them and to start to help them to understand how what we do could help them solve one of the biggest problems that they have or help them to realize their dream. And if you remember the business design podcast episode I did, we talked about their metaphor there, the difference between the lighthouse and the rock climbing guide or instructor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go back and listen to that episode. So the first thing, if you want to get found and you want to find this very first customer of yours, this very first client, you need an online presence. You need a shop window. You need a website, just a simple one, not just because people go to Google to search, because they still do that, but they also search in ChatGPT and other large language models, but because AI will search the web and your websites to try and find out who's out there and who can help people. Now, we used to talk about SEO, and now we talk about SEO, search engine optimization. That's for your Google and your internet, your web. But we also talk about GEO, generative search engine optimization. So this is more your AI. And I talk about this inside Track. But essentially, if you want to be discovered, then you've got to give your best possible chance to do that. Now, you don't need a massive website. You don't need 50 pages. A simple 5-page website will absolutely suffice to start with. And the structure of that is in Inside Track, in the training that I've put together. But very quickly, you need a homepage, which is where people land. You need an About You page, so people can find out about you. You need a Contact Me page, so that they can find your phone number, your email address, or a web contact form. You also need some kind of page so that you can publish blogs. That's how you get your SEO up really, really good. And of course, you need some sales page that lets people know what is available. So if they want to work with you, what is available, how they can work with you, and then encourage them to get in contact with you to have a conversation. And as you're on social media, being visible, while you're perhaps on YouTube, being visible, perhaps having a podcast, being visible, and going networking and being in the room with your ideal customer, then you want somewhere to direct people. You want like a repository, if you like. Say, if you just check out my website, thelauraevans.co.uk, you'll find all of the services that I offer on there, and you'll be able to contact me from there too. Or, a different, website. So for example, as you know, I have the nlptalks.com website, which is where all our podcasts are hosted. So websites are very helpful for having public-facing repositories, for want of a better word, so that people can find you. But they do not need to be fancy. You do not need to spend thousands on it. And guess what? There's AI tools that will be able to build your website in a matter of minutes. So it doesn't need to cost the earth, but you do need to have some kind of website to direct people to. Now, once you've got that done, I would then encourage you to pick one social media platform to become prolific on. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, depending on where your ideal customer hangs out most, that could be LinkedIn, it could be Instagram, it could be Facebook, it could be YouTube, it could be TikTok. There are so many different platforms. Substack's a really cool one. A lot of people are using now. So where do your ideal customers hang out online? When they're in their downtime, when they're looking for things, where are they hanging out? And that will lead you to deciding which is your number one platform. Okay. Now, even when you start to expand and you start to bring on board other platforms, I always work on the 70-30-10 rule with social media, which is 70% of my effort and time goes into my number one platform. 30% then goes into the second most important platform. And then the rest of my time is just copying and pasting content elsewhere. That's how I do it. Now, as AI evolves, I can become more efficient, more prolific, more consistent with all of that. And that's something that I'm actively working on, and you can too. However, what you've got to be careful of is when you first launch this business is that you don't overwhelm yourself by trying to be all things to all people on social media all of the time. That's just not going to be possible. So have a think about where you can consistently turn up, where your ideal customer is likely to be, and put your effort and focus into that one platform. So then you have your website, which is your repository, some blogs, your sales page, contacting me stuff. And then you're turning up daily, ideally, on one platform. And then every now and again, you will direct them to find out more by going to your website. Now, there's ways and means of doing that to get better reach, and we cover all of that in the Training Inside Track. However, I think what a lot of coaches make a mistake of doing is when they first launch their business, they spread themselves too thinly, and they also set themselves up to fail. Now, when you're first starting out, if social media is completely new to you, then maybe a good target to start with would be to post 3 times a week. Maybe one video of you, maybe one blog from your website, and maybe one other inspirational quote or piece of social proof, i.e. a testimonial. And as I say that, if you're sat there listening to this thinking, oh my goodness, like you actually want me to be visible on camera. Yes. And there's training within Inside Track to help you do that. I promise you that I am setting you up for success if you choose to work with me. And there's actually additional specialist training around video mastery. And I've taken, I don't even know how many people have done video mastery now. But when you go through video mastery, if you're like any of the other people I've taken through it, you're going to become way more confident on camera. And you'll get to the point where some of my previous students are now, where they just turn the camera on and talk, and it's great. And it's good content, and they're relaxed, and they are, people are drawn in by that. So it is possible, I promise you, if you get the right support, which obviously I'm more than happy to help you with. So you've got your website. You've got one main focus for your social media. And then the next thing to do is to make sure that you have one clear offer. And again, lots of people procrastinate and put off launching their business because they're like, yeah, but I need 10 different offers, and I can help people with this, and I can help people with that, and I could do it this way, and I could do it that way. When you're just starting out, get really clear on who your ideal customer is, what their one big problem is that they're willing to pay money to have resolved, and then create a product or service to address that. Okay, now we talked about products and services in a previous episode, so if you're not sure of the difference, go back and listen to those. And rather than endless options and confusion, you want one clear offer. I remember being taught many years ago by a business guru that confused clients never buy. So just being able to put together one package in terms of working with people one-to-one, or if you want to do group stuff because you want to scale it, then focus on that. But the challenge is not to have 10 different packages. When you're first starting out, just have one. And very simply be able to answer this question. And if you're near your desk, a pad and a pen would be great at this point. But write this phrase down. I help, and then insert the type of person that you help with, and then insert the problem through, and then what it is that you offer. For example, I help HR managers with a lack of confidence through specific and tailored one-to-one coaching, for example. I used to do that. I don't tend to focus on HR managers anymore. But certainly you need to get it. I help, insert the type of person, with, insert their problem, through, insert the solution. And if you start thinking about it that way, you'll help. Now, all of this type of really detailed stuff is in Inside Track, as I keep saying. There are within Inside Track, there's 2 templates ready to go with offers that you can just plug your knowledge into, and it will help you to put packages together and will help you to get out into the marketplace. So where are we now? We have a very simple little 5-page website. We've picked one social media platform where we're going to aim to become consistent and prolific. And now we've got one clear offer. Now we're ready to start having conversations. And this is the bit that changes everything. Because again, so many coaches go, okay, yeah, I can hide in my office and do my website, and I can hide in my office and do my social media because I don't really have to be present for that. I can kind of do that. And I can sit in my office and hide in my stockroom and put my package together. But now we need to start having conversations. And this is why it changes everything. I can promise you, having been in this industry for over a decade, that your first client will come from a conversation, okay? There are going to be lots of people that are going to browse your website. There's going to be loads of people that browse your social media content and they're discovering you and they're finding out. But your ideal customer, I bet you that your ideal customer is not somebody that's commented on your social media posts or liked you. It will be because of a conversation. And they'll be going, yes, I've heard of you. And they'll tell you where they've heard of you. It's not from a perfect website. It's not from a perfect post. It's from talking to people. So when you have your website, you have somewhere to send them. Your social media supports all of that. You have one clear offer. Then you go and find your ideal customer. Where do they hang out? You understand. You've listened really well to your typical ideal customer. You know exactly what their problem is. You've tested the water. You know they're willing to pay money to solve this problem. Then you go find them and you start having those conversations. Now, it might be that they find you online, and it might be that you end up replying to their comments on your social media posts or directly messaging them, but you can't beat real human interactions, because this is how you build the connection with people. This is how you start to build the know, like, and trust factor. And every single sale that I've ever done has started with a conversation, whether that is in person, face to face, whether that is because I've spoken to them on the phone. Maybe that's because we've had a conversation and they've booked a free discovery call. Maybe that's because they did reach out on an email or a WhatsApp or on a social media direct message. All of these are conversations. But the one thing I always tell my one-to-one business mentees when they work with me is there comes a point where you have to actually get out there. I remember talking to one of them not that long ago, and she said, Laura, I have spent a year designing this business. And my response was, and you've done a great job, and now it's time to take this out into the world. And yes, I know it can feel scary. Honestly, I do. I've been there. But I promise you that you can do it. I believe in you, and I believe in your ability to help other people. If you've listened to every single podcast episode of this series, I know you are committed. I know you care. I know you want to make a difference. And the only thing you need to do now is to start to get out there and start a conversation. Where are these ideal customers? And go and spend time where they are at. Let me give you an example. So let's say your ideal customer is a gym goer and they are a member of your local gym, maybe your, more high-end gym. Well, you could always approach the gym owner and offer to do a free talk for members of the gym around mindset. They probably really love the fact that someone's offering to do that. It's not costing them anything. And you're getting a chance to get in front of your ideal customer. If your ideal customer is somebody that works in a middle or senior manager, check out your local CMI, Chartered Management Institute network, and ask them if they're looking for speakers to come and talk about, the mindset of a manager and how to build your confidence. You could get in front of them that way. If your ideal customer is an HR manager, then find your local CIPD or other HR network and approach the person that runs that network and say, would you like me to come and talk for free? This ladies and gents, is how I started my business. I got out there, I found professional networks where my ideal customer hung out, and I went and offered to talk for free. If your ideal customer is a small business owner, there are going to be loads of small business networks that would probably love for you to go and share your wisdom. And the thing is this, if I talk for free at anybody else's event, there's a deal. That is that I don't do a pitch fest. I don't stand there for half an hour and talk all about all of my products and services. No, the deal is that if I can come and talk to your community for, let's say, half an hour, 40 minutes, I will then take some Q&A, some questions from them, which I'll happily answer. And as long as I have provided value to them, they're walking away with some tangible tips, then I ask the audience, would you mind if I told you a little bit more about how I could help you if you're interested in working with me and learning a little bit more about what I know and how I can help you? And I tell you, every single time I've done that, the audience all nod, because either they're patient and polite because they've just had great value for free from me, or because actually they genuinely are interested to find out more about how I can help them. Then people will reach out to you, not necessarily straight away. Sometimes it can take 3 or 6 months before someone comes and has a conversation with you. But even now, I haven't spoken on behalf of the CMI network for several years now. But even now, I will get the occasional person that will ring us or ask to work with me or ask to attend one of my courses. And they'll say, oh yeah, I heard Laura talk a couple of years ago and it's been on my list of things to do. And finally, I'm in the best place to be able to take this forward now. But the reality is you have to start letting people know that you are here, who you like to work with, who you've got experience of helping. Let them know your taxi light is on and get out in front of people. Now, if you need additional support to help you do that, then that's mindset work. And if you're an NLPer like me, then you'll know that you can go about doing that. And let me just normalize this for a minute. Your first client might not come from the perfect strategy. Your first client might not come from your dream platform. Your first ideal client might not look exactly how you'd imagined, but they will come as long as you show up, as long as you start conversations, as long as you have a clear offer and that you let people know that you are available. The strategies that I teach in our Inside Track program are straightforward, they are easy to apply, and they are a step-by-step guide on how to do everything which I've been talking about in this podcast series. I want you to be able to have the confidence and the skill to go out there and really help other people. That is what drives me. If you have ever been in the training room with me or have ever been coached or mentored by me, you'll know that making a difference is what drives me. That's exactly why I created Inside Track, because I wanted to offer you some blueprints, some structures, some guides to help you on this journey. Yes, you're going to trip up. Of course you are. Life is not perfect. But I want to help you avoid some of the common pitfalls. And we have people in our community that don't want to do on-demand learning. That's okay too. And that's why I work one-to-one with groups. Now, later on this year, I am thinking about putting a group program together around Inside Track. And if you'd like some accountability and if you'd like to meet up monthly with like-minded people on a similar journey to you, then drop me an email and let me know. info@thelauraevans.co.uk. And if there's enough people interested in it, then I'll look at trying to set something up, because ultimately I want to help and I want this to work for you. So let's bring this all together. If you want your first client, focus on getting a shop window, i.e. a website, picking a platform, having one clear offer, starting conversations and let people know that you're able to help. It can be this simple. Of course you can overcomplicate it. There's always so much to learn. But it doesn't have to be complicated in the beginning. Now, in the next and final episode of this series, we're going to do something a little bit different because I'm going to do a Q&A session. And if you follow me on social media, you'll know I've put a couple of posts out recently asking people to let me have their questions so that I can answer them in this final episode. So if you've got questions about starting your coaching or therapy or training business, growing it because you already have one and you're looking to scale it up, getting clients, or anything that we've covered in this series, then please simply email me at info@thelauraevans.co.uk and let me have your question. And then what I will do is try and answer as many of those questions as I possibly can in the final episode so that I am able to help you personally. So you'll get a little shout out if you agree to me talking about you, of course. But if you give me your permission, I can give you a little shout out on the final episode, and then I can go ahead and answer your questions in the final episode. What I'll also do in the final episode is give you a deeper dive look at what is in our Confident Coach Business Academy so that you can go and have a look and understand a little bit more about how I might be able to help you. So remember, you don't need to have it all figured out to get started. You just need to show up and start to implement some of the things that I've been sharing in this podcast episode. You just need to show up and start to implement some of the things I've been sharing in this podcast episode. And your first client is closer than you think. Take care. See you in the final episode.